This is Brian.
APHG vacation of a lifetime. Went to the countries Germany, India, Jordan, Colombia, and Saudi Arabia.
For Germany, we're going to be visiting in Munich, Germany. Throughout the day, we're going to be visiting eating at local restaurants and going to hotels. First, we're going to be going to Munich, Germany. We can see possibilism, cultural landscape, the city landscape. Uh, and this is also Germany, so it is recognized as a state. They do maintain their own sovereignty. This is also a site and situation factors where we can see the characteristics of the place and the contents of the place. First, we're going to be going to the clock tower. This is a very well-known place due to the reenactment in plays from the 16th century to amuse the tourists and many of the locals in Munich. First place where we're eating at is the beer hall. We see presents very prevalent culture. Artifacts are sold as food and drinks. Nationality and ethnicity is also sold. This is also a business, so we do see a certain threshold and range needed. Day two, we're visiting the inspiration for the Disney Castle in Germany. This is also an excerpt because it is far away from the central business district. Fusion restaurants, we do see cultural landscape. We can see a sense of place and how the businesses are very close together, and there's no roads. Rather, it's concrete brick, meaning people walk rather than taking cars. Lastly, to end the night, we're going to be spending our time back in Munich and sleeping the night. For day three, we're going to go to Berlin, Germany. Through this image, we see culture and acting as a centrifugal force for Berlin Wall. It represents a push factor. The Berlin Wall represented a push factor for East Germans to migrate, and it was also back then a subsequent boundary. However, now modern times, it plays as a relic boundary. It is no longer in use, and people see this as a tourist attraction. The graffiti on the wall also represents an artifact of expressing people's emotions. Checkpoint Charles, Berlin, Germany. This is also a major tourist attraction that plays a big part in Germany's cultural landscape. This is also a site and situation factor. Checkpoint Charles denied or allowed access for people to migrate back and forth. Before, we're going to be going to Richard's Building, Berlin, Germany. This modern architecture design represents a pull factor that encourages tourism. River Spring, we can see possibilism, and how because of possibilism, we see urbanization occur on the outskirt of the river, also being a major tourist attraction. Habibi represents stimulus diffusion as it has diffusion from Asian countries into Germany. Day 5 for Petragon Museum, Berlin, Germany. Kreuzberg, Germany. On the left, we can see a reference map where we can see a depiction of Kreuzberg, Germany, and we can see possibilism, how people alter the landscape to meet their needs. Lastly, we're going to be returning home.
Our second country that we're traveling to is India, and the capital is Delhi. This is just our itinerary. What we're going to do is we're going to go to major tourist attraction sites, as well as visit a mosque, and also go to local restaurants. This is Delhi. This is a picture of Delhi, India. This refers back to Unit 3 as it's a cultural landscape. This is the Red Fort, and this relates back to Unit 3 and 4, as this is also can act as a boundary and is also a cultural landscape. This is the Jama Masjid, and it connects back to Unit 3 because it's a cultural landscape, and in addition, it's a place where Muslims from all around come to like pray their 5 daily obligatory prayers. It's also a minty fact because of the beliefs. This is just the nights where we just go back and sleep in hotel. Day 2, we go to Jaipur, India. This relates back to Unit 3 and Unit 4 because Jaipur, India, it's like a boundary and it's also a cultural landscape. The next place we're going to is Amber Fort. This relates back to Unit 3 as this is a cultural landscape. Showing diversity and uniqueness. This is a city palace. It also shows Unit 3 as it is a cultural landscape. and it shows like diversity. This is the city Bazaar in Jaipur. This relates back to Unit 3 and 7. Unit 3, as it shows in the image, we could see like a different language of it being presented there, and we can also see like some stuff like cultural festival stuff things there in different colors. The next country we're traveling to is Jordan. The city is Amman. So basically, what we're doing in Amman is we're going to the Roman theater, going through rivers. We're going famous sites, tourist attraction sites. Day one, we're going to Amman, Jordan. This relates back to possibilism, site and situation, and urbanization, which can be a pull factor, centripetal force for tourists. It's also representing cultural landscape. It's a monarch government, and Jordan is seen as a state by other states and maintains sovereignty. Next, we're going to is the Roman theater. It shows site and situation factor, and we can also see how modern society has developed around the Roman theater as well as honoring it. It's also a major tourist attraction. This relates back to units 1, 3, 6, and 7. This is a Hashim restaurant downtown. This relates back to Unit 3. As we can see in the top left corner, there's like a language thing. It also represents culture and it's also an artifact. This is the Jordan River. This relates back to units 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. This is possibilism, as you can see in the image. It also leading to a possible pull factor for people to migrate there and cultivate their crops, and it also displays the antecedent boundary. We just go home or our hotel, eat dinner, and sleep. Day two, we're going to Petra, Jordan. This relates back to Unit 1, 3, and 6. Unit 3, as it is cultural landscape during ancient times. Uh, During ancient times, the people had to do possibilism because they had to carve the mountain to civilize. This is Al Sik and Petra Jordan. This relates back to Unit 6 and 3. This shows cultural landscapes, and it leaves an impact on the boundary. This relates back to Unit 3 and 7. Unit 3 because it gives you a sense of place, cultural landscape, possible shading in temperature. It's also a formal sector and a tertiary sector. Because there's a lot of people had to like make them, which shows about their economy. Right? This is the monastery. This refers back to Unit 1 and 3 and 4. This is Unit 3 because it's a cultural landscape, and also possibilism. Humans had to carve that, altering landscape, and it's Unit 4 because it's an exclave. Here we just leave Petra, return to Amman, have dinner at the local restaurant in Amman, and we just we just sleep in the hotel.
For our fourth country, we're going to be visiting Colombia. Throughout our itinerary, we're going to be going through major tourist attractions, eating at local restaurants, and once again, visiting hotels. Cartagena, Colombia. This relates back to Unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Once again, because we see possibilism, a cultural landscape displayed, major cities, and excerpts. We can also see the density of the buildings, how this is very clustered, the type of settlement. Oil Town, this is the hotel for overnight stay. Castillo de Barajas. This connects back to units 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. We can see nationalism by the Colombian flag. This also represents possibilism, how people have altered the landscape to be able to fit in with their environment. This also is a major tourist attraction because people want to see the nice environment that is still very prevalent throughout today. The colorful streets of Old Town. This connects back to Unit 3 and 7 because we can see the close neighboring buildings. This represents that people would bring carts or walk around rather than having large, noisy cars. And we see that everything from residential and commercial buildings are all nearby. We can also see the very vivid and bright colors representing the prevalent cultural landscape. Plaza de San Diego, this represents possibilisms, how people have gathered together to sell their local produce to their local people. There's also, because this is also a plaza that requires a certain threshold and range to support the local people. People sell their commodities, their raw materials, to people who will use them eventually. After that, we'll have dinner at a local restaurant, return to our hotel, stay overnight. Rosario Islands. This connects back to units 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. This represents possibilism, how people have altered and cultivated the land to fit their needs so they can survive and civilize successfully in the Rosario Islands. Activities in Rosario Islands are the beaches in Rosario Islands, the snorkeling and scuba diving, lunch at Sorario Islands, as well as dinner and overnight stay in hotel.
Okay, traveling back to Saudi Arabia. Capital city is Mecca. Basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be basically visiting mosques, different type of mosques, and we're gonna like museum, and then we're gonna go to a palace and a kingdom center. Uh, the local restaurant for this, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's near the Dar Al Madina Museum. This connects back to Unit 3, as this is cultural landscape. And as you can see, the title of the restaurant, it's in Arabic, so that shows like language. Day one, we're going to be going to Al Masjid Al Nawawi, Saudi Arabia. Basically, what this means is the Prophet's mosque, and this refers back to Unit 3, as because this is a Menti fact, because it shows like the Muslims' view, like their beliefs in God and the Prophet, peace be upon him. This is the Dar Al Madina Museum. It displays Unit 3 and 6 as Unit 3 because it shows the cultural landscape of this. And we can also see some Arabic text in there. The Kaaba, we're going to be going to the Kaaba, and the Masjid al Haram. This refers back to Unit 3, 4, and 7. Unit 3 because it's a cultural landscape, and it also shows Menti fact as it shows Muslims' belief. It's also referred to also taboo because Muslims can't eat pigs, and Jews and Christians are not allowed to visit, are not allowed to like enter this holy site.
Yes, Jews.
Day two, we're gonna be going to Masmak Fortress in Riyadh. This refers back to Unit 3 and Unit 6. Unit 1, as this can displays possibilism. As we can see here, this buildings are made by sand, and that means the humans must have altered the landscape to fit their needs during that time. Unit 3 because it's now like a relic boundary in a sort of way, and it also shows the flag with nationalism. La Financial District. This is a building complex in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This refers back to units 4, 6, and 7. It Unit 4 because it's a CBD, Central Business District. It's a major trade center. It also acts as a centripetal force with displaying modern uh, architecture, giving a sense of place. And on the by these outskirts cities, we can refer back to the Bergenton concentric zone model. This is the we're gonna be going to Al Murabba Palace. This refers back to Unit 3 because it's showing culture thing. Next, we're gonna be going to Kingdom Center. It's a skyscraper in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Refers back to Unit 3 and 7 because Unit 3 shows cultural landscape. Unit 7 because it's a sector, and it also shows like modern architecture. And that's it.